When we think of Kamado grills in America, we usually think of the green or the red ones that you can find in the big box home improvement stores. What if I told you that there was a brand of Kamado that was much less expensive than the ones that you know that I like as much or even more? Today, the Grilla Kong ceramic Kamado gets put to the Barbecue Lab series of tests. I'm going to walk you through multiple cooks on the Kong, as well as how it stands up to the competition, with everything from specifications to weight and some design features that you may not be aware of on Kamados. We'll do some hot and fast cooking tests, as well as some low and slow, to help you see how this grill stands out in a crowded market. I'm David Gafford, and over here at the Barbecue Lab, we tested 70 appliances last year, and 15 of those were Kamados that we've cooked on in just the last 18 months. This is our first experience with the Grilla Kong Kamado, so let's put it to the test and see if it deserves a place on your patio or on your back deck. Let's start with the fact that this Kamado is heavy. It's over 200 pounds, I think 213 pounds to be exact. With the included stand, the Kong is 49 inches tall, and with the included shelves out, it's 56 inches wide. From front to back, there's a depth of 30 inches on the Kong. The main cooking grate is 20.5 inches wide, and it's a circle, so you're gonna get that all the way around. There's also an upper rack that measures 20 inches wide to give you almost double the cooking surface. You're looking at a total of 643 square cooking inches if you're using both racks at the same time. All right, I want to talk about some of the features on this grill that you might have seen or might not have seen, but let's just walk through them. I'm gonna have the camera come in here so you can see what I'm talking about. Bamboo is a theme on this grill. So we have fold down side shelves. You go ahead and just pull them out this way. You can fold them down, up, and lock them. So bamboo side shelves. Also, there's a bamboo handle on this. So the grill handle, bamboo as well, so everything matches. I like this one. It's nice and sanded smooth, so that's sharp. I really like this. The damper on this grill is a cast aluminum model. So if you look, it works quite easily. It's quite easy to turn, and it's not nearly as heavy as the ones that are cast iron. This one's much lighter, but still has some nice heft to it. This is the dome temperature gauge that they have on the Kong. You can see it goes all the way up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 400 and I'd say 80 or 490 degrees Celsius as well. Hey, if you're getting value out of this video, be sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing if you want more content just like this in the future. Now, there are multiple cart units for the Grilla Grills Kong available. What you see here is the all-terrain cart, and the all-terrain cart has these lovely wheels that are solid rubber, but it moves quite well on the ground. It moves so well, in fact, that we find the wheel chocks to be an absolute necessity to keep the grill from moving when you don't want it to move. It's a really inexpensive accessory, but it makes all the difference in keeping this cart staying put. One of the things I also like about this cart is that the Kamado is secure to the cart using these straps. There are 3 ratchet straps around the grill that keep it secured to the cart, so you don't have to worry about it tipping or worry about any kind of a looseness between the grill and the cart. One of the other things I really like down below is this idea that you can store your grill grates on the side of the grill. Now, there's one hanger over here, there's a hanger on the other side as well, and that allows you to be able to take your deflector or your secondary grate or your main grate and stick it in that holder to hold it in place when you're cleaning the grill or things are not in use. I really like the thoughtfulness that went into that design for the all-terrain cart. There's also a shelf on the bottom of the all-terrain cart to be able to hold charcoal or any of the other accessories that you might need. Just a reminder though, if you do have the cover, it may blow up and those things might get a little wet if you have severe wind. So I wouldn't plan on storing anything down there that you absolutely cannot get wet, but the cover does do a nice job of covering that most of the time. The major advantage of an all-terrain cart is simply mobility. You can be able to move it on a patio quite easily, but you can also move it off of a patio. I don't know any other Kamado that you can move around quite as easily. Here we are taking it from the grass back onto the patio. Normally I'd need multiple people to do this. Quite easy with the all-terrain cart. That's just a huge advantage over most Kamados out there on the market. One of the features I really like on the Grilla Grills Kong is the shock absorber. So when you lift up the lid, you can see that there's a shock absorber right here that allows this lid, if it happens to slam, to cushion the blow a little bit. but I really like that that shock absorber is there to make it easy close as opposed to a slam close just in case anything happens. Now also here on the inside, if you take a look, one of the things I really like is that these are stainless steel grates. Now, they don't look stainless steel at the moment because we really cook on things here. We don't just take stock photos and make videos about products. We actually do a lot of cooking. So we've cooked on this probably 15, 20 times over the last month, and it doesn't look stainless steel anymore. We haven't done a deep clean, but these are stainless steel grates, and I really like how they operate on this grill. Also, the second tier grill grates are stainless as well. If you take the second tier, you go ahead and put it here on the grill, and then drop it in place, you can see that there is a second tier made of stainless to be able to put all of your foods on top. If you're smoking low and slow, have 2 racks to really max out the capacity of this grill. So let's talk about what comes in the box with the Grilla Grills Kong, as opposed to some of the others that might nickel and dime you for every accessory. One of the things I like is that the bamboo shelves come in the box. Another thing, the cart comes in the box, not this cart, but the standard cart comes in the box with the Grilla Grills Kong. The all-terrain cart is an upgrade. It's something that you can upgrade your grill with, but I love that the standard cart comes along with this grill. Another thing that comes along with it is the ash scraper tool. When you go to clean out your ash from underneath, this allows you to really get in there, pull the ash forward, and get it out of the grill so that you can keep on cooking. Another thing that comes in the box is the upper rack. Both grates come in the box as well, so you have almost everything that you would need to be able to make this a low and slow or hot and fast cooking machine. But I do want to point out that this diverter right here that allows you to do low and slow and indirect cooking is an added accessory. It's something that you have to pick up and get it with your purchase. So I would highly recommend that you do that with your purchase if you're going to be looking at this grill. If you do any kind of smoking at all, like for example, just the other day we did a chuck roast. That was awesome. We'll show you that here in just a second, so stick with us. But that allowed us to be able to use that diverter and really get the most out of this grill. It's time for the question of the day. For those of you who are considering buying a Kamado grill or you already own one, I want to know, is it a grill first for you or is it a smoker first for you? Which way do you view this grill? Do you see this as a hot and fast cooker where you're grilling and searing as the first function? Or do you see this as a low and slow indirect cooker where you're taking briskets, pork butts, chuck roasts, all the way through the smoking process on this grill? Which one's first for you? Leave me a comment down below and help me understand how you see Kamado grills as their first purpose. Let's go over some of the cooks that we did to test out the Grilla Kong. Shrimp skewers was one thing that we tested, and we just took some peeled and deveined shrimp, stuck them on skewers, and then used a seasoned butter sauce to baste them throughout the cook. They turned out incredibly delicious. Really happy with how the Kong performed on this one. Also, we did quite a few rounds of hamburgers and cheeseburgers, and we found that the Kong did a great job with burgers, giving us that charcoal flavor that we love from a Kamado grill. Next up, we tried some steak, and we had family coming over to be able to entertain them, and we thought steak on the Kamado sounded like a great idea. We were able to get the Kong between 600 and 700 degrees to give us exactly the sear we were looking for, and it also had the space to be able to accommodate steaks for the entire family plus guests. Boneless, skinless chicken thighs are something that we cook all the time here at the house, and we even had a group of guys from our small group from church over where we did a marinated chicken thigh recipe. So we had a couple of guys who work with the Kong the entire cook, and they loved the way that it performed for them. As a family, we also cook some thighs with just dry seasoning on the outside, and it's a delicious way to be able to get a weeknight meal that isn't going to take a ton of time but still gives you that great charcoal flavor. For a low and slow cooking test, we did a chuck roast using the deflector plate that you can get as an optional add-on for the Grilla Kong, and I loved this cook. We used pecan wood chunks scattered throughout the charcoal to give us that burst of flavor in different portions of the cook, and we loved the flavor and the color that we got on this roast. I didn't have to mess with charcoal or wood chunks the entire cook. I let this go uncovered for 4.5 hours. Then I went ahead and covered it in a braising liquid for the next 4 hours. So this was about an 8.5 to 9 hour cook. I find that for a good low and slow cook in the 225 to 250 degree range, it usually takes me about 30 minutes to get the grill to settle in to a temperature that I want. And one of the nice things is that once I have the grill settled in, I I don't really have to pay any attention to the temperature because I'm able to run an entire chuck roast or pork butt cook the entire time based on one load of charcoal without having to refresh it at all. One question we get asked quite often is, using the deflector, what size of meats will be protected from direct fire on the Grilla Kong? Well, let's go ahead and measure that. So if we go from one side to the other, this is about 14.5 inches in circular width. So if you're thinking about a brisket that's 14.5 inches long, it will all stay on the deflector. If you're looking at something longer than that, so an edge is possibly going to hang over here, getting that heat that's blasting around the deflector that's going to cook that section of the brisket or the turkey or whatever it might be. So when you're thinking about smoking low and slow, remember you have two different layers. There's the grate level, then there's the upper grate, upper rack level. So you have two levels of smoking, but you're really limited by the size and the width of this deflector, which, like we're saying, is about 14.5 inches. Now, if you're thinking about ribs, you can maybe utilize this little section over here that is used to be able to connect it to the charcoal basin. That gives us about 16.25 inches. So potentially you could protect a rack of ribs that's a 16 or 16.5 inches long. And for those of you who are wondering, yes, our deflector plate got a little bit cracked here. That's where I would just recommend make sure that you get the deflector plate ordered with your grill if you're going to get it, because shipping something like this that's ceramic is problematic through the mail, through the UPS, through FedEx. It's not exactly something that people are hyper careful with when they deliver it, and chips do potentially happen. So order it with your grill. I think you'll find that as a shipping advantage. So let's talk about the Grilla Grills Kong in regards to the competition. If you think about the big green egg in a large form is going to cost you $1,099 for the Kamado itself. By the time you add a nest, some side shelves, by the time you look at that second level of grate, and all of the other upgrades you're going to need to be able to match the Kong, you're at right around $1,750 for that big green egg versus the Kong. So it's about a $900 difference between the two. Now let's also consider the Kamado Joe. The Kamado Joe Classic 3 is $19.99, so just $1 under $2,000. And the Kong, still $849. But when you compare it to the competition, looking at the big brand names that almost everybody knows, there's a significant price difference between the Kong and the other category leaders. If you're considering a purchase of the Grilla Grills Kong, I want you to check out the links in the description below. Pricing is always changing, but I want to tell you the best way to find out if there's a sale on the Grilla Grills Kong or if there's a sale on anything in outdoor cooking or outdoor living is to join our email list. We let our email subscribers know once a week of the best sales in outdoor cooking and outdoor living, and we want you to be a part of that so you can save some money. So if you want to be in the know, join that email list so you will always be aware of the sales right when they happen. Now, if you're still on the fence and can't decide if this is the right Kamado for you, I want you to check out this video that I'm going to link up here in the card above. We actually compared a ton of different Kamados against each other to try to figure out which one is the best for your setup and your cooking style. So I want you to check out that video up here. I know it's going to be helpful for you. I'm David from the Barbecue Lab, and behind the camera is Melissa, and I will see you on the next one.